Hi there, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Rachel Agasha, and on the channel we talk about everything the United States. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the year, that we'll be having people joining us on the channel to share their experiences living in this country, how they're navigating life, how they're figuring things out, the mistakes that they've made, the things that they shouldn't be doing, all the things that you shouldn't be doing when you come to this country. Anyway, in today's video, we are joined by another amazing human being. This human being here is called Brian. Yeah, Brian is a software engineer with over 8 years of experience. He started his first company in 2014 while he was still in Uganda, offering software engineering development, right? Offering software development consultancies and building the first ever citizen journalism application for NTV Uganda while still a student at MOOC. While you were a student, what were you doing? He went on to pursue his master's degree in software engineering at the prestigious Carnegie, that's the name of the school, Mellon University, before deciding to settle in the USA. He currently works as a senior software engineer for an engineering service company, building applications for a wide array of customers in the United States of America. This is a well-accomplished human being, so I am very, very, very humbled to be breathing the same air as you. Thank you for agreeing to do this interview, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. As she's already mentioned, hi viewers, my name is Brian. I'm happy to be here and share my experiences with all of you. I'm currently working as a software engineer, like she said, basically a full stack software engineer, if you understand what that means. But my day-to-day job is just building applications across a wide array of domains for different customers.
Interesting. So when did you move to this country?
So I moved to the US in 2020, actually. This was when I was about to finish grad school at the time. It was just, at the beginning of COVID. So basically about 2 weeks before the world shut down, literally. That's when I moved to the US. I settled in Boulder in Colorado. So I came straight from Uganda to Colorado, USA, and that's where I've been since.
Interesting. Okay, so you talked about COVID. Was that an issue for you? I can imagine how that felt when you got here.
Absolutely.
The world is shutting down.
Yes. So the time it was really, really tough because this was something nobody really knew about at the moment. The whole world was literally scared and shut down instantaneously. And so being in a new country, in a foreign land, first time ever, knew literally almost nobody. I just knew one person. When everything went remote at the time and shut down, it was a struggle. For sure, it was a struggle because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know places. I didn't know where to go. I was basically trying to figure out life. And then I was like, now here I am. I could just die from this country that I could have just stayed home. So it was a really, really tough time. But I mean, as humans, we always adjust, we always adapt, and we overcome. So I think for me, that was a learning experience, although tough. I think in the end, it was awesome. Yeah. Nice.
We're glad you survived it all.
Yeah.
Anyway, so can you tell us about your experience working in the United States of America?
Yeah, absolutely. So America is a very interesting country. I've been over here a little over 4 years now. So I think working in the US is a place, I think the USA generally is a place that values work. Right. I think my experience working here versus working back in Uganda has been basically night and day. People are very professional. You get to do the things you love. Every kind of profession is valid. And basically people respect you for the work that you do, and they understand the work that you put in. And so I think it's very rewarding. That's the first thing. But also coming from Uganda, basically, I think working in the US makes you realize that you can actually get paid for things you do, right? A lot of us back in Uganda, you'll work for so long and, for a couple of months and go without pay, or you're doing things you don't love to do. But in this country, I think it's a bit different. People value the work that you put in and they understand the effort that you put in. And so I think working here has been a great experience.
Okay. So I understand you came during COVID, work had been shut down, people were not working. How were you able to navigate the whole job search in this country?
So I was a bit lucky. Before I actually moved to the USA, I already had a job offer.
Nice.
I had everything set up for me. I had a
Nice.
place where I was going to stay. So literally when I arrived at the airport, I had somebody pick me up, take me to my apartment, take me around, get some food, and then that was it. And then I got, to settle in. Usually most people that will come for work specifically in the US, you should already have a job offer, and even when you go through the visa process and all of that, they'll require you to have all those things.
Yeah.
So if you're moving here for work, in most cases, it's already arranged. So it was a bit easy for me. I didn't have to really search for jobs or anything. I kind of did the search before I came in here. And so by the time I arrived, I already had everything set up.
Oh, that's nice. So I know you mentioned, of course, a few differences, but what have been the major differences that you can look at, you can point at and be like, oh, the difference between working in the USA and other countries. Have you worked in other countries apart from Uganda?
Yes, I have also worked in Rwanda.
Okay, so what major differences do you see between working here and in these other countries?
So the first thing is, I think once you're qualified for a job in this country, getting work is not that difficult. It's hard to look for a job and all of those things, but once you get one, you actually do the things that you've studied. A lot of times in our different countries, you have a job description of what you're supposed to do, but you end up doing 10 other things that is not really part of the job that you're doing. And so that makes it very hard to know what you're supposed to do, or even grow, or have a vision of where you want to be in your career. So I think because the US is career based, and you can easily get guided along your career, and there's people have been doing these things for years and decades. It's easy to meet professionals in the same field that will guide you. Obviously, they do pay when you finish the month and you finish your work, or the week, whatever it is, you get paid promptly, which is not also a thing that happens in most of our countries, right? They will, take forever to pay you and all these things. But also I think that the pay itself is fairly good compared to the skills that you'll be having. So I think for me, those are the things that stood out. The other thing that I also think stood out is in Uganda, we work very hard. But then you don't really get compensated that much. In this country, there's a work and life balance, right? You will start your work maybe at 9. It depends on the job anyways. But for my case, I will work from 9 to 5 and I'm done for the day. And I go do other things. And it's very flexible as well. But in other situations in Uganda, for example, I used to work maybe 12, 15 hours, a day, and, go back home late, work over the weekends and all these things. You don't really have time for yourself as an individual. So I think
at the end of the month, they'll tell you, oh, wait for next month for the salary. I know.
Yes. So I think to me, those are the key things that I would point out.
Oh, interesting. It's nice that you mentioned that. Also the flexibility to be able to work from wherever. Because we're currently not in our specific homes, but we're working. We wake up and work. No one is out here to,
Yes. And I think that's one of the key things that maybe it's also happened in other countries, even in Uganda specifically. But a lot of the time, I think really after COVID, there was a shift in the whole, workforce. And so I think that has also helped, staying here a lot easier, because even though I'm here, I don't necessarily have to be in the office. I can work remotely. I can actually travel to Uganda and work from Uganda if I need to. So it's, they understand such things, and so they're flexible.
Nice. If you're watching from Uganda, please let us know if it is actually possible. I've not had any of my friends work from home, or anyone that I know in Uganda. I think it's also that, trust issues.
Right.
These guys will be like, are you really working? Are you at home really working?
I know there's some companies that have started allowing, those things to happen. I have some colleagues, especially for the profession that I'm in as a software engineer. You don't really have to be in the office unless you have to interact with people and, all those things. But I see a lot of companies beginning to embrace that and allow their employees at least work 2 or 3 days a week from home, and then come into the office and meet with people and things like that, which I think is a good thing that's happening now.
Also, I think the internet issues, because internet is very expensive back home and all that. So I think it makes things difficult, because I'm imagining a company that wants their employees to work from home, they probably have to provide stable internet, make sure they have the work equipment for them to be able to do so. It gets a bit expensive, and I think I would understand if our people decided, please come to office every day. It makes sense. Okay, so what challenges have you faced as a foreign worker, what challenges have you faced in your field of work, and how have you been able to overcome this?
That's a good question. I think some of the challenges I've faced, just like anybody who moves to an entirely new place, the usually issues with trying to adopt the culture, the new culture that you're placed in. And so for me, it took a bit of time, obviously, to get used to the culture, the work ethics, and how people do the work and things like that. And even though we speak English, the accents are different. So that's another challenge, right? You're trying to understand what people are communicating. They're trying to understand what you're communicating. But eventually you find a balance and you kind of learn, you adapt as you go. So I think, that transition was a bit of a challenge. Also, I think because there's a lot of stuff to learn when you first get a new job, I think that was also a challenge. But if you're prepared to learn things and you're ready to, to get going, that's, that doesn't take too long for you to adjust to. Yeah.
Okay. So those are you've not had people bullying you. I've had racism. I've had all those kinds of things. You've not experienced that?
So, lucky for me, I haven't really experienced any of that. And also I think the companies that you work for and the values and the ethics that they have, in there will help you determine if it's going to be a good place or a bad place. For my company, I haven't had those issues. It's been a very friendly environment. We have people from other countries as well. So it's kind of been an easy transition, and I haven't really experienced any form of racism or anything. A lot of the times, it also depends really on the location that you're in. Some places in the US maybe might have more racism. I haven't personally experienced any of that. So I would say I think it's okay.
I actually think racism is phasing out. Honestly, I find that I think the narrative has really changed. I feel like the people who shouldn't be doing these things are the people who actually do these things, But also I feel like that whole, I think it's really shifting. I don't think we still go through those things like we used to. So how has working in this country helped you develop your career?
That's a good question. So when I came, I already had some experience working as a software engineer. I'd been doing it for a long time. So even when I was coming, I was a bit skeptical, like, will I really learn anything new? But I quickly realized, the skills we have back in Uganda, good as they are, there's a lot to learn. And reason being, this country has been doing some of these things for the longest time, since the 80s, the early 70s, they've been doing some of these things already. And so there are a lot of experienced people in the field, but also, they have a lot of things they've done over the years. And so there's a lot to learn. So I think for me, it helped me, learn a lot of things as I was going along. So I think, I there's a lot to learn, and for me, it was easy. I
understand. So what advice would you give to someone who intends to come to this country to work? Or also, actually, before we get to that question, because I actually get this so much, and unfortunately, I do not have the right answers to these questions. How does someone, because you say you came here to actually work, how does someone out there, actually people in your field, normally ask those kinds of questions? How does someone get to come and work here?
Yes. So there's many ways. I, for one, happened to come here through one of my professors at a university that I went to. He had a company in the US. He's an American rather, and so he had a company. And when I took one of his classes, he was impressed with my work, and so he said, if you want to come out and check out the place, and if you don't like it, you can go back. If you like it, you can stay. So I came for the first year. Then COVID happened. Then I went back, and then eventually I came back again. And then I stayed since then. But I think there are many other ways that people come. Usually people try and find jobs through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very common place to find all these jobs. One thing I'll say though is it's not very easy to find jobs in the US. As much as the jobs are available, one of the challenges they have is because the process of getting a worker from outside the US into the US is a very stringent process. It takes a long time, and some companies are not willing to sponsor workers, from other countries. And it's really because they have their own workers in the US. There's so many qualified people in the United States that would do the same job. So these companies have to prove that nobody else in the US can do the same thing, and there's reason to bring you over. So I think for work purposes, if you find a company that is willing to sponsor you for an H-1B or even an internship, a J-1 visa, and all of those things, you can apply to those companies. But you should ask them early on, because if you waste time, you go through the interview process, most of them assume that you already have, work authorization and all these things, only to be told later on that, no, we can't take you on, and you've spent your effort trying to go through the interviews. So I think you look for companies that are willing to sponsor those visas, and then interview with those companies, and they can bring you over.
Also, one thing that he's actually being modest about, he's not saying you need to be good. Like, you need to prove that you're extraordinary. Like he said, this company needs to prove that you are honestly extraordinary. Like, what you can do, no other person can do. You talked about going through the interviews and blah, blah, blah. That happened to me. So I do this job interview, and I literally start working. So like a week later, they're like, oh, Rachel, so there's a law in the USA. We have to make sure you are actually authorized to work in the US. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So if I was not authorized to work in the US, I'd be like, oh, we are sorry. We have to let you go. That would be so sad.
Yeah.
But I think you need to look at that, like really consider that as well. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so how do you keep updated on the different changes in your job, your career?
Okay, that's a good point, because first of all, in the tech space or software engineering industry, things change super fast, right? So what you thought was the best technology yesterday or the day before, today is something else, right? It's changed already. And so one of the ways to keep abreast with what's happening in the industry is to basically always study. Keep on top with trends. There are blogs, tech blogs that happen. There are conferences about technologies that happen all the time. So one of the key things to do is always keep, in attending those things, or knowing about them, or, studying new technologies as they come up. Now, obviously, I wouldn't say just go learn everything. I've been doing this for a long time to know that some technologies come and it's just a fad, and then before you know it, it's gone, right? And you don't have to keep chasing everything, but look out for trends, right? Look out for things that are trending, where the market is headed. Do a little bit of research and then try to go into those fields. For example, at this point, we have all these AI things that are happening, right? AI has been around for the longest time, since the 80s. It's only now that it's picking up and it's going super fast. So things like that, when you see those trends, you know that in the future, you need to position yourself to be able to keep your job, or even get a new job, or at least remain relevant in the market. So I think for me, what I have done personally is just study a lot and read up on things, take online courses that help you learn new technologies, learn new things, so that way even your job becomes you stay relevant, because then what happens is that
more value, you're adding
value to yourself. So at the end of the day, when the company needs somebody else, rather than hiring another person, they'll take you because you've been there longer, but also you've now gained the value. Exactly, you become better, you have more value, and so they'll look to keep you.
Interesting. That's nice. So okay, so I think we could go on and on, but a quick one. If someone did not know you, they're meeting you for the very first time, how would they describe you?
That's interesting. I feel like I'd rather ask somebody to just tell that to me. But usually what people would say is I am quite serious. When I think I'm not. I think I'm cheeky and playful. But I think also because when I interact with people, I'm usually trying to understand and talk about ideas. I like sharing those things. So people think, they think, oh, you're maybe a bit too serious. But with my friends, I'm always joking around and checking around. So I think that's how people usually describe me, anyways.
That's nice. That's nice. One fun fact about you.
One fun fact: I am an identical twin. So I have an identical twin brother.
Interesting. That's nice. That's nice. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys have no. Do you have any last questions for our viewers?
Well, not really questions, but I would encourage you to go into the comments.
Questions?
Yeah.
No. I didn't mean to say questions. Any last words? Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Any
sure.
last words to for our viewers?
Absolutely. I think most of the viewers that are watching these are, in some form or way interested in coming to the United States, maybe to settle here for school or whatever reason that might bring you over. I think you should pursue those dreams because this is a land of opportunity, right? There's endless opportunities. It is tough. That's the thing that people don't say. People think, it's easy. You come here, it's a walkover in the park. You make, a lot of money and you're good to go. No, actually, no. What happens is that here, your dreams are valid. And even, they're valid in Uganda and all, but you can actually pursue and achieve them here, right? And which might take you longer in a different place. So I think you should chase those dreams, find out more information, leave comments in the comment section, ask questions, speak to people, but at the end, try and chase those dreams because I think when you come into this country, it'll give you opportunities to pursue those further, but also just make yourself a better person, so that you can be successful.
Yeah, I believe so much in making yourself a better person. I always tell people, whatever it is that you're trying to do, someone has done already. However much you think it is very new, someone has done already. You just have to know where to look and reach out to those people. Because I know sometimes we're scared, but I always tell people, you will never know until you ask. Also, the worst that anyone can say is no. That is the worst. So just ask for help. Sometimes I think, I can figure it out. And then you spend a whole long time trying to figure out something that someone already figured out. So if you have any questions, you have anything to say, you have an opinion, leave all those in the comment section. He will go through these questions because there are questions that you guys are going to ask that I will not have answers to. So he'll definitely answer those questions, and we shall see you in our next video. Take care and stay safe. Do not forget to like the video and to subscribe to the channel. Share this information with anyone you think that would actually benefit from this information. We will see you in our next video. Take care and stay safe.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.